What's up, scholars? Welcome back to another video. My name is Haley, otherwise known as the Fictional Scholar, and we are here today to talk about My Hero Academia Season 5. The finale just aired this last Saturday, and with the season being wrapped up, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on the series and how I thought Season 5 went compared to the expectations that the manga had set whenever I read it, plus a few other things, and just kind of some general thoughts, what I've heard people think about the season, especially differing from anime onlys to the ones who have read the manga and then watched the anime. So I'm just going to be sharing some of my thoughts on this season, and without further ado, let's go right into the video. My Hero Academia Season 5 has been getting so much just slander and a lot of negative feedback, especially from the ones who have read the manga and then were really expecting like this fantastic season with the whole My Villain Academia arc and everything like that, prepping for this war arc that's going to be in Season 6, which, yes, Season 6 has already been confirmed, so people are really looking forward to this war arc. But because of the way Season 5 was handled, a lot of people are skeptical to know if they're going to be able to do a good job with the war arc given how things in Season 5 have turned out. Now, personally, my thoughts on Season 5 are kind of mixed. In my first review I did over My Hero Academia Season 5, I did it after the 1A versus 1B little arc had wrapped up, and I was really giving it the benefit of the doubt. I thought they had drawn it out a little too much, but I thought it was a way to really highlight these other characters and really just bring them their moments of spotlight, because I was expecting the My Villain Academia arc to come right after that. That was before I knew or realized that they had flipped the arcs and they were going to be doing the Endeavor Agency arc before My Villain Academia. So now going back and looking at that review, it's kind of sad. I was a little too optimistic, I think, in that one. But it's interesting. They handled the Endeavor Agency arc really well. They left out a few things, but of course with manga to anime adaptation, it's really hard to include every single thing just because time allotments and space that they have to work with. So yes, I'm not going to hold them too much to that because they do have constraints and they had to get these episodes out week by week, things of that nature. So I'm not holding them too much to that, and they handled the Endeavor Agency arc well, even though it was unexpectedly put before the My Villain Academia arc, which I'm still a little confused why they did that. I know that My Hero Academia had the new movie that was coming out. It'll be coming out worldwide soon from what I've heard. But they had this new movie, and so a lot of the focus was on this movie that was coming out, which I understand, but at the same time, it made the anime suffer so badly. They used an entire episode just for pure filler, just to set up for the movie, when they could have used that for allotment from My Villain Academia. And it made that latter half of the season, which should have been the most important part of the season, feel so rushed and cramped, and just the pacing was off on it, in my opinion. I don't know how else to describe it, but it felt odd. And it didn't feel like they really gave the proper amount of time and effort to really draw out My Villain Academia like they did with the 1A versus 1B or even the Endeavor Agency arc. Like, the 1A versus 1B was so drawn out that people were complaining it was going too slow. And then the Endeavor Agency arc was starting to speed up, and they're like, whoa, where's this coming from? And then it was like MVA, My Villain Academia, happened, and it just went so fast, and it was hard to keep up. It was just, it didn't fit with how the manga had everything set up and everything like that. It just wasn't given the proper amount of attention that it should have, because manga readers have been waiting for My Villain Academia for so long. They were so excited to see all of this stuff animated, like with Shigaraki's backstory and everything, like all this information completely surrounding the villains that we've never had before. Shigaraki's backstory, Toga's backstory, more backstory on Spinner, Twice's backstory, hints about Dobby's backstory, and things like that. Like, there was so much there, and they cut out so much of it. A lot of the My Villain Academia story got cut out because of how they rearranged everything, because they used all these filler-esque type of techniques in the first half of the season to draw out the battle between Class 1A and Class 1B. It left less time for arguably one of the most important arcs of this show. And because of this whole filler episode with Uraraka and Suyu, which I'm not opposed to getting episodes around like characters that aren't technically the main characters. Like, I love those episodes. But knowing that that was only made completely to show something for the movie and movie only, and take away that amount of space that could have been used to really showcase these arcs from the manga that are super important, it didn't sit right with me. But besides that, besides my feelings on that, season 5 was a decent season. Personally, I felt myself kind of not unimpressed, but I wasn't as involved and engaged as I was with the previous seasons, because I had read the manga, because I came in with these high expectations for My Villain Academia, and it didn't quite get there, and it fell short a little bit in my opinion. And because I felt less involved, the stories that I had read in the manga that were getting cut out and shortened and condensed and everything like that, it didn't feel as impactful to me. And I know some of it is censorship, and they can't show all of the gory images from the manga. Like, I get that. I'm not disagreeing with that part of it or anything like that, but for them to completely remove Spinner's story, to cut out parts of Toga's backstory, and to really rush through Twice's story, the Sad Man's Parade, it feels like they went through that really fast. I don't know if I'm the only one who thought that, but... And then when it came for Shigaraki's backstory, the Tinko Shimura and then Shigaraki Tomura, like, both of those combined, because everything had been going so fast and so much was getting cut out, while they did those episodes really well, it wasn't as gripping or impactful because of the pacing, and because how everything else had been going, because of everything they were cutting. It just didn't grip me as hard. Like, it was still very sad, it was well done, but it wasn't as shocking as it was reading in the manga. And it's not just oh, well, you've read it before, you know what to expect, of course it's not going to be as shocking. No, like, there have been mangas I've read before, and I've read it and then I watched the show, and I'm still just as shocked to see something animated, or even more so, because the animation really truly brings it to life, than I was reading. But for this, it just almost felt like a small disconnect. But in Shigaraki's case, they did do a good job with his backstory. They didn't take much out of his, and they really got to kind of flesh things out. And they really did a good job on his. And the animation, especially all throughout season 5, like, I have no complaints on the animation. Studio Bones did a fantastic job. It was beautifully animated, especially My Villain Academia. They really did animate that really well, and especially Shigaraki's stuff. Like, the animation was fantastic, 10 out of 10. Like, I have no complaints on that end. But there was just something about how it was all going out, and because for animes only, especially with the way the arcs were switched and the pacing of it, it spoiled so much of the show, and it killed a lot of the tension and anticipation for My Villain Academia, because by putting the Endeavor arc first, they completely killed the surprise, one, of Shigaraki just going through this mind-blowing transformation, because they gave that teaser of him laughing covered in blood and whatnot, already kind of showing like, oh, like something really happened. He's changed a lot. His hair's white now, you know, first of all. But also besides that, it showed people from the Meta Liberation Army, or now the Paranormal Liberation Front, you know, it showed them talking with the League of Villains and them together. So it really killed all the anticipation of the MVA fights, of them going back and forth, wondering, oh, is the League of Villains really going to get killed off? Or one of them going to die? Is like what's going to happen with Shigaraki and Redestro? Like, who's really going to win this fight? Like, this is crazy. All that. It totally destroyed all of that anticipation and the tension. Like, even watching, I've seen some reactors watch, and even when, for example, when Toga was in trouble and the guy Mimic, I think, I can't remember his name, when Toga was about to get her head snapped, there were people, I've seen reactors be like, oh, well, she's not gonna die, we saw her in episodes before, she's there, so she's gonna be fine. It was just little things like that that totally killed some of the intensity from My Villain Academia, especially like the intensity with Toga, with Twice especially, and then kind of forgot about Spinner. And then with Shigaraki, when Shigaraki was fighting Redestro, people were like, oh, well, I already know they're working together, so it's gonna work out fine. And just that knowledge kills, just destroys some of that tension. And in my opinion, it made the My Villain Academia arc that much less impactful, because there was no element of surprise, because that tension was no longer there. And the main tension just came from the backstory of Shigaraki, which I get it. That is a huge, huge plot point, and it's a huge point in Shigaraki's story and his character development going into season 6. But overall, it spoiled, the way they did it, they spoiled so much before they even got to it. And I don't particularly like that they did that. Part of me wonders if they were trying to find a place to end the season off before the war arc kicks off, because they didn't want to end it in an awkward place, which they kind of did anyways. It kind of ended off really abruptly. So I don't know if that's what they were thinking at first. I don't know if they just rearranged the arcs to kind of fit more for the movie, which if that's the only case, then I feel like that's just upsetting. I just feel like it could have been done so much more differently, because there's really no reason to change the arcs. In my opinion, what they could have done is they could have kept it in order and done the My Villain Academia right after Class 1A and 1B's fight. They could have shortened the Class 1A versus Class 1B fight, took out all the unnecessary recaps, everything like that, condensed in at least 1, maybe 2 episodes, and use that extra space to really draw out the My Villain Academia arc. Got rid of that filler episode at the beach, really dug into the My Villain Academia story, and then moves on to the Endeavor Agency arc, showing, you know, Hawks moving around and the whole thing with Best Jeanist, and then going along like that, and then ending it off after, you know, they get back from Endeavors, and that scene with All Might and Aizawa in the snow, seeing like, oh, there is still something you can do. And then it ends with them getting the calls, all the students in Class 1A getting the calls of, well, we've been called somewhere. Well, where are we going? I don't know. You know, something like that, where it's still a cliffhanger, but you still keep literally all of the tension, and you don't spoil anything for anime onlys before it all happens, and you really just get to draw out My Villain Academia, which I wish they would have. That's probably my biggest complaint with this season, is that they really cheapened My Villain Academia and drew it short. But overall, It was a decent season. I am hopeful for season 6 that they are going to follow more from the manga now that the movie's done and out of the way, and it's not going to be more of a problem. Hopefully they can just focus on the source material from the manga and really dig into it and just go wild in season 6, because the war arc is fantastic. It's crazy, it's insane. There's so many fights, so many epic moments. And if they animate it right, if they do it right, it's going to be the best season of My Hero Academia, hands down. So I'm hopeful for season 6. I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope that they do a great job with it. And I think they will. I'm more on the hopeful side, even though this season I was a little more disengaged from it than usual. Next season, I'm going to be hopeful, going into it with a new, fresh attitude, saying it's going to be better. So we'll see. But that is my opinion on My Hero Academia Season 5. If I had to give it a ranking, like ranking it out of 10, I'd probably give it a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Because again, it was a decent season. The animation was fantastic. But as a manga reader going into it, I just had more expectations out of it, and it didn't live up to them in my opinion. So that's why it loses a few points, but still a decent season. So if y'all have the same opinions as I do, let me know down below. If you don't have the same opinions I do, let me know down below. I would still be happy to talk to you. Just, again, as always, be polite, be respectful, and we can have a conversation. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I'll be having more videos out soon now that I have a better system to work with, and I'm starting to get a new setup and everything like that, so I'm so excited for that. But again, thank you so much for tuning into this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe down below, follow me on all of my social media so y'all can stay connected with me and stay up to date on what I'm doing. And other than that, I will see you next time, scholars. Bye!